from the National News Studio, Sri Lanka.
A pleasant evening and a very warm welcome to the National News of Rupavahini on ChannelEye. I'm Dilanjali Anand. Joining me is Lakshmi Edrisinghe, and these are the top stories which have made headlines for tonight. Mr. Dinesh Gunawardena takes oath as the new Prime Minister. 18 cabinet ministers are sworn in. Another petrol ship arrives in the country. Distribution of fuel island-wide according to the National Fuel Pass will commence from the 25th. Protesters who were staying inside the Presidential Secretariat removed. Several parties condemned the attack. Ukraine and Russia agree on exporting grain. The US wins all 3 medals of 100 meters men's event at the World Athletic Championships. Now for those and other stories in detail. Mr. Dinesh Gunawardena took oath today as the new Prime Minister of the country before President Ranil Wickremesinghe at the Prime Minister's office.
He is the 27th Prime Minister of the country. Prime Minister Dinesh Gunawardena said that he will work with determination to meet the aspirations of the people. The budget will be presented within next few weeks and we will also present our program. Discussions will be held with any group engaging in democratic politics. Attempts will be made to reach consensus in Parliament to work for the people in the country. The President made a clear statement about introducing a constitution. Steps will be taken soon to introduce amendments to the constitution to increase the powers of Parliament and to make changes in the administrative mechanism.
අපේ තිබෙන අධ්‍යක්ෂකම් සම්භාරය එකතු කරලා අපේ මාතෘභූමියේ ජනතාවගේ ප්‍රාර්ථනාවන් ඉටු කිරීමට අපි.
Now this is a short note about new Prime Minister Dinesh Gunawardena. Mr. Dinesh Gunawardena, who is the son of Philip Gunawardena, known as Lion of Borolugoda and a pioneer of local socialism, and Kusuma Gunawardena, who was known as the Red Flower of the Left, was born on 2nd March 1949. After the passing away of Philip Gunawardena, Mr. Dinesh Gunawardena is leading Mahajana Eksath Peramuna from 1973. He had his school education at Royal College, Colombo and followed degrees on business administration, management and international transport from Netherlands Business University and Oregon University. Mr. Gunawardena is married to Ramani Vatsala Kotalawala. He is father of Yadamini Gunawardena and Sankapali Gunawardena. Yadamini Gunawardena is a member of Parliament at present. Leader of the Mahajana Eksath Peramuna, Dinesh Gunawardena entered Parliament through a by-election in 1983 as the member for Maharagama. Since then, he has performed public duties as a minister and a deputy minister. He has worked in the ministerial portfolios of transport, environment, urban development and water supply, urban development and sacred areas development, water supply and drainage, municipal councils and western development, foreign affairs, education, public administration, home affairs and provincial councils. He has been the chief government whip on several occasions from 2008 to 2015. Since 2018, he has also worked as the leader of the House on several times. He has been the chairman of 3 special parliamentary committees on electoral reforms from 2003.
The new interim cabinet of ministers was sworn in before President Ranil Wickremesinghe today. Prime Minister Dinesh Gunawardena was sworn in as Public Administration, Home Affairs, Provincial Councils and Local Government. The following ministers were sworn in today. Douglas Devananda was sworn in as the Minister of Fisheries. Susil Premchand was sworn in as the Minister of Education. Bandula Gunawardena was sworn in as the Minister of Transport and Highways and Mass Media. Keheli Rambukwella was sworn in as the Minister of Health and Water Supply. Mahinda Amaraveera was sworn in as the Minister for Agriculture, Wildlife and Forest Conservation. Dr. Vijaydas Rajapaksa was sworn in as the Minister for Justice, Prisons and Constitutional Reforms. Harin Fernando was sworn in as the Minister of Tourism and Lands. Ramesh Patirana was sworn in as the Minister of Plantations and Industries. Prasanna Ranatunga was sworn in as the Minister of Urban Development and Housing. Ali Sabri was sworn in as the Minister of External Affairs. Vidura Vikramanayaka was sworn in as the Minister of Buddha Sasana, Religious and Cultural Affairs. Kanchana Wijesekara was sworn in as the Minister of Power and Energy. Nasir Ahmad was sworn in as the Minister of Environment. Roshan Ranasinghe was sworn in as the Minister of Sports and Youth Affairs and Irrigation. Manusha Nanayakkara was sworn in as the Minister of Labour and Foreign Employment. Tiran Alas was sworn in as the Minister of Public Security. Nalin Fernando was sworn in as the Minister of Trade, Commerce and Food Security.
Now, parliamentarians expressed their views after Prime Minister Dinesh Gunawardena took oaths. Minister Vijaydas Rajapaksa said that many changes have occurred with the struggle. Laws have been compiled to democratize the administrative structure and to eliminate fraud and corruption.
නීතිරීති සම්පාදනය කිරීම ඒ වගේම දූෂණ විරෝධී නීතිරීති සකස් කරලා තිබෙනවා ඒව සම්මත කරලා අලුත් මානයකට රට ගෙනියන්න විශේෂයෙන්ම තරුණ ප්‍රජාවට කාන්තා නියෝජනයට ඉඩ දෙන ආකාරයේ ක්‍රමවේදයක් සකස් කරන්න තමයි අපි මේ වෙලාවේ අලුත් ආණ්ඩුව විතියට කටයුතු කරමින් ඉන්නේ. දේශපාලන පක්ෂපාත ભેදයේ
Minister Bandula Gunawardena said that attempts will be made to form an all-party government without political party differences to build the country.
Mr. Kehlia Rabukala said that the parliament is acting according to the fundamental law of the country. If changes have to be made in the constitution, there is a methodology.
සමහරකට ව්‍යවස්ථාවේ යම් වෙනස්කම් ගැන කතා කරනවා නම් ඒකටත් ක්‍රමවේදයක් තියෙනවා ඒ වෙනස් කරන්න කෙසේද කියලා. ඒකත් ඉතාමත් ශීලචාර විදියට සහ නීතියට ගරු කරමින් කටයුතු කළ යුතුයි කියන එකයි මගේ අදහස.
රටේ තත්ත්වය ස්ථාවර කරන්න පුළුවන්.
Minister Susil Premchand said that the country is becoming stable by Monday. The state services should be normalized.
මම හිතනවා අපිට සෞන්දර්ය වෙනකොට රාජ්‍ය සේවය යථා තත්ත්වයට පත් කළා හිටන් රට සාමාන්‍ය තත්ත්වයට ගෙනෙන්න ඕනේ. එතන තමයි අපේ මේ අභියෝග වලින් ගොඩ යන්න පුළුවන් එකම ක්‍රමය.
Minister Kanchana Wijesekara said that they are entrusted with continuing the work until a permanent government is elected in future. The central bank and the finance minister has informed that next 12 months will be very challenging. Proposals have been presented to distribute the limited quantity of fuel received by the country with a proper management.
In the meantime, Minister Kanchana Wijesekara says that another petrol ship arrived in the country yesterday. He said that distribution of fuel in the ship will commence after testing samples. Issuing of fuel according to the last digits of number plates took place today. The vehicles with 6, 7, 8 and 9 last digits on the number plates are issued fuel on Friday, Monday and Wednesday. 0, 1, 2 numbers have been allocated on Tuesday and Saturday, and Thursday and Sunday have been allocated for 3, 4 and 5 digits. Although fuel was issued under this program, there were long queues at filling stations. Issuing of fuel took place from the Muthurajavila terminal today. With filling stations of Sepetco in Bandaragama town receiving petrol after 35 days, tensions prevailed when the groups who were staying in queues for many days protested issuing fuel according to the last digit of vehicles. Although people were staying in queues to get fuel according to the last digit, fuel has not been issued to filling stations in the Anuradhapura district without a prior notice. A group of consumers protested near the Anuradhapura Petroleum Corporation premises against it. Distribution of fuel according to the National Fuel Pass is scheduled to commence island-wide from the 25th. A service has been commenced to educate the public in this regard at bus stands, railway stations and filling stations. A ship carrying 3,500 to 3,700 metric tons of litro gas arrived in the country today. Litro companies said that they are distributing gas island-wide at present.
Now, the protesters who were staying inside the presidential secretariat were removed this morning. Issuing a statement, Police Media Division said that steps were taken to remove the protesters with the support of armed forces and Police Special Task Force who were staying inside the Presidential Secretariat and near its main gate and its surrounding area. 9 suspects have been arrested and 2 persons have been admitted to the hospitals with minor injuries. Police said the CID, fingerprint inspectors and officials, together with other scientific evidence in connection with the protesters staying in the Presidential Secretariat, are scheduled to be summoned. Investigations are being conducted under the supervision of Colombo's Central Senior SP, and security around the Presidential Secretariat has been strengthened. Police, Army and the Special Task Force were seen at Golfers Green this morning. Entrance to the Golfers Green had been blocked.
මේ මොන ප්‍රජාතන්ත්‍රවාදයක්ද? දවස් 104ක් තිස්සේ ඉතාමත් සාමකාමීව නීති ප්‍රචණ්ඩව කරපු අරගලයක්.
ඊට පස්සේ ඇවිල්ලා මගේ ෆෝන් එක උදුරගෙන මගේ ෆෝන් එකේ තිබිච්ච වීඩියෝස් ෆුටේජ් කලින් අරගත්ත ඒවා ඔක්කොම ඩිලීට් කරා. ඒ ඩිලීට් කළා මම සිනමන් ග්‍රෑන්ඩ් එක පැත්තට ඇවිදගෙන යනකොට පිටිපස්සෙන් ඇවිල්ලා සහන්ගේ කරෙන් යදගෙන එළමයට ගගහ අරගෙන ගියේ.
Meanwhile, a protest was held at the Fort railway station in Colombo, protesting against the golfers incident. Sri Lanka Bar Association says that they condemned the attack on protesters of last night who were staying near Presidential Secretariat and the Golfers Green. This has been stated in a statement issued by its chairman, President's Council, Salia Peiris. He said security authorities have prevented people from entering the area and stopped several lawyers also from entering the area. Sri Lanka Bar Association has requested the government to conduct investigation in this regard. Sri Lanka Human Rights Commission has also issued a statement condemning the golf face incident. The Commission has said it is a violation of people's fundamental rights. It has requested the government not to launch such attacks in future. The group who was at Kandy Gotagama left the place on their own today. They exchanged views with Kandy police. Gotagama, which was there for 98 days, was removed this afternoon.
In the meantime, international organizations and many diplomatic officials have announced their stance on the attack on Galle-Face struggle yesterday. They have emphasized that the freedom to peaceful protests should be protected. The US Ambassador to Sri Lanka, Julie Chung, says that they are closely monitoring Sri Lanka's situation. Issuing a Twitter message, she has said that authorities should act with restraint.
British High Commissioner Sarah Halton says that they are paying attention to Sri Lanka's situation. Issuing a Twitter message, she has said that the Britain has clearly pointed out the importance of peaceful protests.
Canadian High Commissioner David McKinnon has said that it is important that Sri Lankan officials refrain from violent acts and to act in a disciplined manner.
Minister of State for Foreign, Commonwealth and Development Affairs, Lord Tariq Ahmed, said that they are deeply concerned about reports from the Galle-Face protest site. He has called on all parties to respect the right to peaceful protest, refrain from violence and to respect media freedom.
High Commissioner of New Zealand to Sri Lanka, Michael Appleton, said the events at Galle-Face overnight are concerning. Freedom of speech, freedom of the press and the right to peaceful protest are foundations of all free and open societies. They must be protected.
Switzerland Ambassador to Sri Lanka and the Maldives, Dominique Fergler, said the right to peacefully demonstrate and express opinions remains important. He has urged for restraint and full access to medical services. Sri Lanka needs mutual respect and cooperation to get on.
The police headquarters says that under the normal law, police officers are empowered to enter a place of protest, search and arrest, and under the emergency regulations, armed forces officials are also entrusted with that power. Accordingly, the police headquarters said that steps were taken to remove members of an illegal gathering at Presidential Secretariat this morning, according to the powers vested in the security officials.
Issuing a statement, police said steps were taken to send outside the groups who were staying at the Presidential Secretariat building. Police said the groups who were staying obstructing its main gate and the place were also removed. The tents that were erected temporarily obstructing the Secretariat were removed. Police headquarters said that the protesters were staying at the Presidential Secretariat from the 9th of July, acting at their premises and obstructed and scolded security officers who were visiting the building. The protesters have informed to leave when police officers went to those places. The protesters had illegally taken over an office network which performs serious tasks of state administration. Security authorities have observed that although authorities requested them to leave the place peacefully, they tried to stay at the place, putting forward various conditions and dates. Although senior police officers and Fort Police Station have requested protesters to move out of the Presidential Secretariat, they have rejected to do so. Certain parties had levelled accusations for not removing the group after observing damages to state property and documents. Police headquarters said that the protesters were evicted as there were no other alternatives. They have been informed to engage in peaceful protests by identifying the limits of rights given to citizens constitutionally to engage in protests. Police headquarters emphasized that legal action has to be taken if their activities obstructed public peace, although intimidation, threats and violence. Security officers had to take action to control individuals who opposed when removing the protesters. The police headquarters has released a video containing a response when police officers went among the protesters.
The 9 suspects, including attorney-at-law Nuwan Bopage, who were arrested for damaging property at the Presidential Secretariat and produced in court, have been ordered to release on bail by Fort Magistrate Court. Acting Magistrate Jayantadas Nanaikara has ordered to release them on 10,000 rupee cash bail and 2 surety bails of 500,000 rupees each. In the meantime, the all-party collective representing the opposition held a media briefing in Colombo and expressed their views about the Golface incident.
Opposition leader Sajith Premadasa said that the responsibility and the duty of the government is to take legal action against those who are connected to this barbarism. The president cannot ignore his responsibilities about the attack. He should be held responsible for the attack. The president should explain it to the country.
එතුමා තුළ වගවීමකුත් තිබෙනවා. කවුද මේ ම්ලේච්ඡත්වයේ ක්‍රියාත්මක කරන්නට උපදෙස් දුන්නේ? කාගේ අනුබල මතද මේ රාජ්‍ය ත්‍රස්තවාදය ක්‍රියාත්මක කරන්නේ? අපි ප්‍රකාශ කර සිටිනවා ජනාධිපතිවරයාට මේ පිළිබඳව යම්කිසි පැහැදිලි කිරීමක් රටටත් ජනතාවටත් කළ යුතුමයි.
ප්‍රජාතන්ත්‍ර විරෝධී
MP Dalasal Haperuma said that this is an initial step of many other measures. The suppression which was on the protesters today will move to trade unions tomorrow. Protests of professionals will take place thereafter. If you do not raise your voice against it, there will be no one to raise a voice for you.
Now, Samik Janabala Vege held a media briefing in Colombo on the attack on Golface struggle this morning.
ප්‍රජාතන්ත්‍ර විරෝධී ක්‍රියාමාර්ග තුල රටේ ජනතාව හා මේ රටේ තරුණ ප්‍රජාව වෙනසක් බලාපොරොත්තු
MP Mujibur Rahman said that the people expected a change through the struggle for anti-democratic activities. Incidents such as this will further aggravate the situation.
During a media briefing in Colombo today, His Eminence Archbishop Malcolm Cardinal Ranjit said that he vehemently condemned the inhuman and illegal assault. Archbishop Malcolm Cardinal Ranjit said that the President should accept the responsibility of some unwanted activity took place in future due to this inhuman attack. The Archbishop said he condemned the violence targeting journalists. The President is requested to stop suppression of people engaged in peaceful protests using police and military force. The international community and Human Rights Council are requested to conduct a transparent and independent investigation into this attack, which is against the Constitution, and to take legal action against those who gave power to do so.
Now, Prime Minister Dinesh Gunawardena arrived at Dharmayatana Temple on Bauddha Lokamatha in Colombo this afternoon. Prime Minister Dinesh Gunawardena called over and to receive blessings of Venerable Ale Gunavanshatera.
Chinese President Xi Jinping sent a congratulatory message on Friday to Ranil Wickremesinghe on his election as President of the Democratic Socialist Republic of Sri Lanka. In his message, Xi Jinping pointed out that China and Sri Lanka are each other's traditional friendly neighbors. Since the establishment of diplomatic ties 65 years ago, the two countries have always promoted the development of bilateral relations on the basis of mutual respect, equality and mutual benefit, and set an example of friendly interactions and mutually beneficial cooperation between large and small countries, he said. Since the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic, China and Sri Lanka have stood together and helped each other, with their traditional friendship further enhanced, Xi said. The Chinese president stressed that he believes under the leadership of President Wickremesinghe, Sri Lanka will surely overcome temporary difficulties and push forward the process of economic and social recovery. Xi Jinping said he attaches great importance to the development of China-Sri Lanka relations and would like to provide support and assistance as his capacity allows to President Wickremesinghe and the Sri Lankan people. The Chinese president said that he hopes the two sides will carry forward their traditional friendship, consolidate political mutual trust, and continuously push forward the strategic cooperative partnership featuring sincere mutual assistance and enduring friendship.
Now, National People's Power held a media briefing today in Colombo on the removal of protesters at the Presidential Secretariat. General Secretary of the JV, Peter Vinsilva, said that the old group is trying to come out. The struggle is not over because it's commenced due to a specific reason. One phase of the struggle has ended after chasing away the former president. Thereafter, the president was appointed through a parliamentary process without a people's mandate. Therefore, the people's struggle has still not won and it will not be stopped halfway.
සිස්ටම් චේන්ජ් එකක් කතා කරමු කියන්නේ. එතකොට දැන් මේ දින අරගලේ එක අධීරයක් අවසන් වෙලා තියෙනවා.
President Ranil Wickremesinghe has reappointed retired General Kamal Gunaratne as the Secretary to the Defence Ministry with effect from today. Retired General Kamal Gunaratne performed an excellent service for Sri Lanka Army and he was the commander of the 53rd Brigade during the final stage of the humanitarian operation. He has written books on Sri Lanka's war history and on other subjects. Meanwhile, President Ranil Wickremesinghe has appointed secretaries to several other ministries as well.
And we'll be back with more news from home after this break.
හොඳමදේ විශ්වාසයෙන් ට්‍රීට් කරන්න. Prima Treats. Life is a treat.
நாங்க சீக்கிரமா வங்கிக்கு போவோமா?
இந்த நாட்கள் எப்படிமா வெளியில போறது?
அப்பா வெஸ்டர்ன் யூனியன்ல பணத்தை அனுப்பி இருக்காரு.
அம்மாட கணக்கு இருப்பது மக்கள் வங்கியிலனால வங்கிக்கு போக தேவையில்லை. ஒரு கோல்லே வேலையை முடிக்கலாமே.
வாட்ஸ்அப் மற்றும் வைபர் ஊடாக தொடர்பு கொள்ளலாம். மக்கள் வங்கியில் மட்டுமே.
Welcome back. The central bank says inflation in June has increased to 58.9%. It was 45.3% in May. The central bank has pointed out that the inflation has increased due to increase of prices of food and non-food items. The price increase of food items, which was 58% in May, has increased to 75.8% in July. The central bank said the price increase of non-food category, which was 34.8% in May, has increased to 43.6% in June.
Now, signing of bonds by 200 Korean job recipients took place today at the auditorium of the Sri Lanka Foreign Employment Bureau. Sri Lanka Foreign Employment Bureau has said that signing up of agreements are continuing according to providing Korean jobs for Sri Lankan workers. The Bureau said 2 groups consisting of 130 are scheduled to leave for Korea on 26th and 27th. 3,564 workers have left for employment in South Korea this year. We'll be back with international news after this break.
Hot and spicy, cheering got the navy, Sunday baby. Kappe ate, match a pankara Madabi, Sarah Devi. Hit a talent at the Vena, fun minima Vinuna, Sarah Davi, at the Nari got to me from the mouth, fun papa plevena, said take a canecuna, Sarah Davi, at the Nari got to me from the mouth. Prima cut to me, Fantan.
Welcome back. And in international stories, Turkey, UN, Russia and Ukraine have signed a deal in Istanbul to resume exports of grain through the Black Sea. Russian Defense Minister Sergei Shoigu and Ukrainian Infrastructure Minister Alexander Kubrakov signed separate deals with the United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres and Turkish Defense Minister Hulusi Akar in Dolmabahce Palace today. The ceremony was witnessed by Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan. Ahead of signing the historic grain agreement, President Erdogan said they will be undertaking a very important step preventing the threat of hunger that affects billions. He said the implementation of the grain deal will be carried out by a joint coordination center in Istanbul. Guterres said today there is a beacon in the Black Sea to bring relief to many countries. The deal was reached with Russia to allow the flow of grain from Ukraine, where some 20 million tons of grain is stuck.
On Thursday, it seemed the deal to
Prima Kotomi, Fantan.
Welcome back on Sports News. Sports Minister Roshan Ranasinghe says that the responsibility of sports associations and federations is to present sportsmen and women for competitions with a free mind. The minister mentioned this while attending a function at the Sports Ministry today to greet the sportsmen and women who will take part in Commonwealth Games.
The Commonwealth Games are scheduled to be held from the 28th to the 8th of August in Birmingham in England. 50 sportsmen and 60 sportswomen are representing Sri Lanka at the Games. They are taking part in swimming, diving, athletics, badminton, boxing, gymnastics, judo, squash, wrestling, weightlifting, basketball, beach volleyball, women's cricket, para-sports and seven-a-side rugby.
And on cricket, it's the big matches which are going on, and the 143rd Battle of the Blues big match between Royal College and St. Thomas's College, Mount Lavinia, was played for the second day today at the SSC grounds in Colombo.
At close of play today, Royal College was 136 runs for 4 wickets. Uhindu Weerasekara was not out on 62. Sinith Javardhana scored 32. Kavindu Dias took 2 wickets. St. Thomas's College scored 242 in their first innings. Seneth Hettiarachchi scored 55. Charita Piri scored 51. Gihan Balasuriya took 3 wickets. Tomorrow is the final day of the match.
And from the international sports arena, the US won gold, silver and bronze medals of the 100 meters men's event of the World Athletic Championship, which is taking place in Oregon, US.
Noah Lyles won the gold medal in men's 200 meters event. He completed the race in 19.31 seconds. Kenneth Bednarik, who won the silver medal, finished the race in 19.77 seconds. Arian Nigton won the bronze medal.
What a moment for Noah Lyles. He hates losing over 200 metres and he's forgotten how to. 19.32. 19.32. He has smashed his personal best and produced one of the fastest times in history. Quite frankly, after 120. Rarely has there been such a sense of expectation and anticipation ahead of a 200-metre final.
Jamaica's Shericka Jackson won the women's 200 metres with the timing of 21.45 seconds. Shelly-Ann Fraser-Price of Jamaica won the silver medal and Britain's Dina Smith won the bronze medal.
At last, it's Jackson's turn to be the queen of sprinting. 21.46. She becomes the fastest living woman on earth. And at last, after so many bronze and silver medals, it is a glittering gold for Shericka Jackson. And how they will celebrate that back in Jamaica. But that was a brilliant.
And that's all the news we have for tonight. Do join us tomorrow at 8:50 p.m. for the very latest on Channel Eye. I'm Delanjali together with Lakshita signing off for tonight. Good night.
Good night.